In the vast darkness between stars, the Galactic Confederation research vessel Horizon drifted silently. Protocol Officer Jin stood nervously at the viewing portal, watching as the small Earth shuttle approached their docking bay. This would be the first official contact between their civilizations, and Jin couldn't help but feel anxious. Earth had been discovered by accident. A routine survey probe had malfunctioned, entering a restricted sector of space before sending back confusing data that prompted further investigation. What they found shocked the Confederation scientists, a planet teeming with life despite conditions that should make such abundance impossible. How can anything survive there? Jin had asked during the briefing. Senior researcher Mun adjusted his breathing apparatus before responding. The gravity alone would crush most sentient species. Then there's the extreme temperature variations, constant natural disasters, and an atmosphere filled with oxygen, a highly corrosive gas. And yet, they not only survived, but developed technology, added Security Chief Quan, her thin limbs trembling slightly. Our scans detected primitive space vessels and energy signatures, indicating an early industrial civilization. The shuttle was now close enough that Jin could see the simple design, bulky and utilitarian, compared to the sleek Confederation vessels. It seemed impossibly fragile to have survived traveling through the vacuum of space. They requested this. Meeting, Director Park reminded them. Remember, we know nothing about their culture or biology. Observe everything, assume nothing. The airlock cycled, and Jin held his breath as the inner doors slid open. The first human stepped through, and despite all the preparation, Jin felt shock ripple through his body. The creature was shorter than any Confederation species, but moved with surprising quickness. Its body appeared dense and solid, with thick limbs ending in 5-digited manipulators. Most alarming was its skin, not the protective scales or chitinous plates of civilized beings, but a thin, soft-looking covering that seemed terribly vulnerable. "Greetings," the human said, its voice deeper than Jin expected. "I am Captain Day Kim of Earth. On behalf of humanity, I thank you for accepting our request for contact." Jin was startled by how easily the human spoke. Their translation systems had been working for months to decipher Earth's communications, but the humans seemed to have learned their language with remarkable speed. "Welcome aboard the Horizon," Director Park replied. "I am Director Park. This is an unprecedented honor." The human's face changed shape, pulling back to reveal white bone-like structures in its mouth. Jin nearly activated the emergency protocols before realizing this might be a form of expression rather than aggression. As they escorted the human delegation to the conference room, Jin noticed how heavily they stepped, their dense bodies requiring more effort against the ship's artificial gravity, which was set to Confederation standard, considerably less than Earth's punishing pull. During the meeting, Jin observed the humans carefully. They consumed water frequently and seemed to process information remarkably quickly. Their questions were pointed and insightful, suggesting an intelligence that belied their primitive technology. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Breach in Sector 7, Security Chief Quan announced. "A rogue Kalari vessel has forced entry." The Kalari were known raiders, opportunists who attacked vulnerable ships and stations. Before Jin could explain, the ship lurched violently as something struck the hull. The humans exchanged glances, their expressions shifting in subtle ways Jin couldn't interpret. "How many intruders?" Captain Kim asked calmly. "Sensors indicate 3, Quan replied, her voice quavering. "They're heavily armed and moving toward the command center." What happened next astonished Jin. Instead of seeking safety, Captain Kim and his team stood. "With your permission," Kim said to Director Park, "we can assist." Before anyone could respond, the conference room doors burst open. A Kalari raider stood there, weapon raised, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Jin had never seen a Kalari in person before. Their chitinous bodies and multiple limbs made them formidable opponents. The raider fired its weapon, hitting one of the conference room walls. The energy discharge should have stunned everyone in the room, but to Jin's amazement, the humans merely flinched. Captain Kim moved with startling speed. He crossed the room, in 3 powerful strides, and struck the raider with a closed fist. The impact produced a sickening crack as the Kalari's exoskeleton fractured. The raider collapsed, weapon clattering to the floor. Jin stared in disbelief. No one had ever reported that humans possessed such physical strength. The Kalari were twice the size of Captain Kim, yet he had dispatched the raider with a single blow. Another alarm sounded. The remaining raiders were approaching. Director Park looked at Captain Kim with new understanding. "What can your people do?" she asked simply. Kim nodded to his team. "We'll handle it. Please stay here where it's safe." Jin watched through the ship's security feeds as the humans moved through the corridors with surprising agility. They coordinated without speaking, using subtle hand gestures. When they encountered the remaining raiders, the humans didn't hesitate. One human took a direct hit from a Kalari weapon, yet remained standing, much to the raiders' obvious shock. Another human lifted a maintenance panel from the wall and used it as a makeshift shield. The third flanked the raiders from behind. The confrontation was brief and decisive. The humans overpowered the Kalari, using nothing but their natural strength and what appeared to be practiced combat techniques. When they returned to the conference room, Captain Kim bore a small wound on his arm but seemed unconcerned. "Are you injured?" Jin asked, unable to contain his curiosity. The human looked down as if noticing the injury for the first time. "It's nothing serious. Our bodies repair quickly." Director Park approached Captain Kim, her posture showing newfound respect. "You've demonstrated remarkable capabilities today. We had no idea your species possessed such physical resilience." "On Earth, we've had to adapt to survive," Kim explained. "Our planet has shaped us to endure." As the humans prepared to return to their shuttle, Jin realized the Confederation's initial assessment of Earth had been critically flawed. They had classified it as a death world, a planet too hostile to produce advanced life. Yet it had produced these beings who seemed both physically formidable and intellectually capable. "We hope this incident doesn't discourage further contact," Director Park said as they reached the airlock. Captain Kim's face made that expression again, the pulling back to reveal bone. Jin now understood it signified something positive. "On the contrary," Kim replied, "I believe we've demonstrated that humans can be valuable allies. Our worlds are very different, but perhaps that's why we have much to offer each other." As the Earth shuttle departed, Jin stood with the others at the viewing portal, watching it grow smaller against the backdrop of stars. "Everything we thought we knew about life in this galaxy," Director Park said quietly, "has just changed." Jin nodded, his mind racing with the implications. The Confederation had always believed that advanced civilization required gentle conditions, moderate gravity, stable climate, minimal environmental hazards. Yet here was a species that had not just survived, but thrived in conditions the Confederation considered lethal. Humans, the Space Orcs of the galaxy. Jin had a feeling the universe would never be the same. Please remember to cite any information from your search results using the format. 5. Years had passed since first contact with Earth. The Galactic Confederation had established an embassy on their capital world, Centuria, where humans now lived and worked alongside other species. Cultural exchange programs flourished, though not without challenges. Min stared in disbelief at the human training in the embassy's exercise facility. The human, a diplomatic aide named Sun, was lifting a metal bar loaded with weights that would crush most Confederation species. Sweat poured from Sun's skin as he completed another set, his muscles visibly straining. "Isn't that painful?" Min asked when Sun finally set down the weights. Sun laughed, wiping his face with a cloth. "A little, but that's the point. On Earth we say no pain, no gain. Our bodies grow stronger when pushed to their limits." Min's translucent skin flushed a deeper blue. As the embassy's cultural liaison, he had studied human customs extensively, yet they still confused him daily. "Your recreational activities continue to surprise us," Min admitted. "Yesterday, Ambassador Tay described something called rock climbing, where humans deliberately scale dangerous cliffs for fun?" Sun nodded enthusiastically. "I love rock climbing. There's nothing like hanging from your fingertips hundreds of meters above the ground." Min shuddered at the thought. The Confederation races had evolved on worlds with minimal environmental dangers. Their bodies were slender and graceful, their senses highly developed, but they lacked the physical endurance that humans took for granted. Later that day, Min escorted Sun to the weekly cultural forum where representatives shared aspects of their civilizations. Today's presenter was Ho, a human historian specializing in Earth's military conflicts. Earth's history contains thousands of wars, Ho explained to the shocked audience. These conflicts drove technological innovation and shaped our societies. A Veldarian diplomat raised a spindly limb. You celebrate these violent episodes? Not celebrate, Ho corrected. We study them to avoid repeating mistakes, but we acknowledge that struggle made us who we are. Min noticed the other aliens shifting uncomfortably. Since humans joined the Confederation, many species had expressed concerns about their unpredictable nature and capacity for violence. Some even labeled them dangerous. After the forum, Min accompanied Sun to the embassy gardens, designed to reproduce environments from various worlds. The human section contained plants considered mundane on Earth, but potentially hazardous elsewhere. Roses with thorns, trees with falling fruits, grasses that released allergens. I miss rain, Sun said suddenly, looking at the controlled environment. Real Earth rain, the kind that soaks you completely. Min couldn't comprehend enjoying being wet. On his homeworld, moisture was carefully regulated. Too much or too little could cause severe discomfort. Their peaceful moment was interrupted by an emergency alert. The embassy's communication center had detected an incoming meteor on collision course with the nearby city center. Evacuation procedures began immediately, but time was limited. Min froze in panic. His species' instinct when threatened was to become motionless, hoping predators would overlook them. An evolutionary response, useless against meteors. Sun grabbed Min's arm. We need to help with evacuations. Come on. The next hours passed in chaos. Min watched in amazement as the humans coordinated efforts, working tirelessly to move people to safety. While other species quickly exhausted themselves, the humans continued despite injuries and fatigue. When the meteor struck, it hit a less populated area thanks to the evacuation efforts. Still, the impact damaged several buildings, including parts of the embassy. Min found himself trapped with Sun under fallen debris, a support beam pinning his lower limbs. Don't move, Sun instructed, examining the beam. I'll lift this and you slide out. Impossible, Min whispered. It's too heavy. Sun positioned himself and with a grunt of effort lifted the beam just enough for Min to pull free. The human's face contorted with strain, veins visible on his neck and arms. Later, as medical teams treated the injured, Min overheard two Arcturian diplomats talking. Did you see those humans? They worked for hours without stopping. One of them lifted a support beam that would require machinery for us to move. Perhaps we've misjudged them. Their strength could be valuable. Min approached Sun, who was having a cut on his arm treated. You saved my life. Sun smiled tiredly. Anyone would have done the same. No, Min replied. They wouldn't. Couldn't. I'm beginning to understand why humans call Earth a school of hard knocks. It has created a species unlike any other. That evening, the embassy staff gathered for an emergency meeting. The Confederation Council had been watching the humans' response to the crisis with great interest. The Council has approved expanded human participation in emergency response. Teams across Confederation space, the Chief Ambassador announced. Their unique capabilities have proven essential. Min noticed the change in terminology. Humans were no longer described as unpredictable or dangerous, but as resilient and resourceful. The term Space Orcs, once used derisively behind closed doors, was now spoken with a hint of respect. As the meeting concluded, Min approached Sun. It seems your people have found their place among the stars, Sun nodded. We're just getting started. Commander Jun stood at the viewport of the Confederation battleship Invincible, watching the swarm of Vespid fighters approach. The insectoid ships moved with perfect coordination, thousands of vessels functioning as a single organism. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. How many? Jun asked his tactical officer. Too many to count, replied Lieutenant Gill, her eyes fixed on the sensor display. The Vespid hive mind coordinates them perfectly. They don't make mistakes or hesitate. The Vespid hive had appeared at the edge of Confederation space 6 months ago. Their invasion had been relentless. 5 systems had already fallen. Conventional. Confederation forces were struggling against the overwhelming numbers and hive mind tactics. Jun turned to face the mixed crew on the bridge. The Confederation had never faced a threat of this magnitude before. For the first time, humans were fully integrated into military operations. Commander Jun's Special Forces team included representatives from 6 different species, but the core, combat personnel, were all human. Their jamming communications, reported Gil, were cut off from the fleet. Jun nodded, unsurprised. It was the Vespid standard tactic: isolate, surround, overwhelm. But this time, they had fallen into a trap. "Engage primary engines," Jun ordered. "Take us straight into the swarm." The alien crew members exchanged worried glances. The plan seemed suicidal, but they had learned to trust human tactical instincts. The massive ship surged forward, directly toward the approaching enemy. As they closed distance, Jun activated the ship-wide communication system. All combat teams to drop ships. Operation Hornet's Nest begins in 5 minutes. In the launch bay, Sergeant Yun checked her equipment one final time. Her squad consisted of 4 humans and 2 Centaurians. The Centaurians were highly intelligent and skilled with technology, but lacked physical endurance. After 72 hours of continuous operations, they were exhausted. The humans showed signs of fatigue too, but remained combat-ready. "How do you keep going?" asked Lan, one of the Centaurians. His thin frame trembled slightly from exhaustion. Yun handed him a small packet. "Stimulant. It will help for a few hours." Lan hesitated before accepting. "For your species' ability to function under these conditions is remarkable." Yun shrugged. "On Earth, we evolved as persistence hunters. When necessary, humans can keep moving long after most creatures would collapse." The dropship's warning light flashed. They were approaching the deployment zone, a Vespid relay station that coordinated the hive's communications. Their mission was to destroy it, disrupting the enemy's perfect coordination. "Remember," Yun told her team, "Vespid don't expect direct assault. Their hive mind can't comprehend individual sacrifice or risk-taking." The dropship lurched violently as it penetrated the Vespid defensive screen. When the doors opened, they faced immediate resistance. Vespid drones swarmed toward them, mandibles clicking furiously. Yun led the charge, firing precisely while moving forward. The other humans followed her example, advancing despite taking hits. The Centaurians provided covering fire from defensive positions. 3 hours into the mission, they reached the central chamber of the relay station. The air was thick with the Vespid's chemical communications. 2 of Yun's human soldiers had sustained serious injuries but refused evacuation. "We have 15 minutes to plant charges and retreat," Yun announced, checking the timer on her wrist. "Lan, access the main control node. Han, secure the perimeter." As Lan worked to bypass the alien security systems, Yun received an urgent communication from Commander Jun. "Vespid reinforcements incoming. Extraction window closing. Complete mission and evacuate immediately." A new wave of drones attacked their position. Yun took a hit to her shoulder but continued firing. Beside her, Private Han received multiple wounds, yet maintained his position, protecting Lan as he worked. "How are you still standing?" Lan asked in disbelief, seeing Han's injuries. "Too stubborn to fall," Han replied through gritted teeth. "When?" The charges were finally set. They began their retreat. The Centaurians were barely able to move after the extended combat. Without hesitation, the humans each carried a Centaurian, moving swiftly despite their own injuries and the extra weight. They reached the extraction point just as the relay station exploded in a blinding flash. The shockwave knocked them down, but all team members survived. Back aboard the Invincible, Jun watched with satisfaction as the Vespid swarm fell into disarray. Without their central coordination, the once perfect formation broke apart into confused individual ships that the Confederation fleet could now engage effectively. In the medical bay, Yun sat patiently as a doctor treated her wounds. The Centaurian. Medical officer worked efficiently but couldn't hide his amazement. "Your pain tolerance is extraordinary," he commented, and your body has already begun repairing the damage. It's nothing special, Yun replied. Just human. Later, Commander. Jun reviewed footage from the mission that was being transmitted across Confederation networks. The images showed humans charging into combat despite injuries, carrying allies to safety, and continuing to fight in conditions that would incapacitate most species. An admiral from Central Command contacted Jun. The operation was a success. The Vespid advance has been halted. For now, Jun cautioned. Yes, for now, the admiral agreed. But for the first time we have hope. The Confederation Council is authorizing additional human-led special forces teams. Jun nodded, understanding the implications. The perception of humans throughout the Confederation was changing rapidly. What had once been seen as primitive aggression was now recognized as necessary courage. Their physical resilience, once considered alarming, was now their most valued trait. The Vespid have never encountered anything like humans, the Admiral continued. They don't understand fighting through pain or sacrificing for others. We're just doing what humans have always done, Jun replied simply. Adapting and surviving. 20. Years after first contact, Dr. Han stood before the Galactic Confederation Medical Council, her heart beating quickly in her chest. The Grand Chamber was filled with representatives from over 30 alien species, all watching her with their various sensory organs. Their bodies ranged from tall and willowy to short and stocky, but none had the dense musculature of humans. Distinguished colleagues, Han began, activating the holographic display behind her. Today I present the results of our cross-species trauma response system. The display showed a complex medical device, a blend of human emergency medicine concepts and advanced alien biotechnology. During the Vespid War, Han had noticed that alien medical teams struggled with battlefield injuries. Their bodies evolved on safer worlds, and their medical practices reflected this. By combining human knowledge of physical trauma with Confederation, cell regeneration technology, we've created a system that works across all known species, Han explained. Treatment time is reduced by 60%, and survival rates have increased dramatically. Our Tellurian representative raised a limb. Your primitive medical practices were developed through warfare, correct? Han nodded. Partly. Humans have a long history of conflict, but also of healing. Our understanding of trauma medicine comes from centuries of treating injuries that would be fatal to most species. The room filled with murmurs. Han was used to this reaction. Even after 20 years, many aliens found human history disturbing. Yet, increasingly, they recognized its value. The Council approves this technology for immediate distribution, announced the Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Han, your contribution will save countless lives. As Han left the Council chamber, she smiled at how much had changed. Humans had integrated into Confederation society in ways no one could have predicted. Their natural resilience made them ideal for roles too dangerous for other species: security forces, emergency responders, explorers of hostile worlds. Han's personal assistant, Tech, waited outside. The young Arcturian had specifically requested to work with a human mentor, something unthinkable a decade ago. How did it go, Doctor? Tech asked, falling into step beside her. They approved it, Han replied. Production begins next month. They walked through the medical center, passing treatment rooms where human doctors worked alongside alien specialists. The building itself reflected this integration: stronger gravity in human sections, specialized atmospheric controls for various species, all functioning harmoniously. I'm attending the diplomatic reception tonight, Han told Tech. Councillor Song is presenting a new proposal. The reception was held in the Grand Hall of the Confederation Embassy, where representatives from all member worlds gathered. Han spotted Councillor Song speaking with several high-ranking diplomats. Song had become a powerful voice in Confederation politics. His advocacy for individual rights often challenged traditional hierarchical structures that dominated many alien cultures. Dr. Han, Song called, waving her over. Perfect timing, we were just discussing your medical system. Han joined the group, accepting a drink that contained nutrients calibrated for human physiology. Another change. 20 years ago, humans had to bring their own food and water to such events. Counselor Song tells us you learned medicine during your military service, said an elegant Seraphim diplomat. Yes, Han confirmed. I was a combat medic before becoming a doctor. Fascinating, the Seraphim replied. On my world, healing and combat are considered incompatible disciplines. For humans, they've always been connected, Han explained. Our greatest medical advances often came during our darkest conflicts. Later that evening, Song addressed the gathering. His proposal involved expanding educational exchange programs between worlds. Young aliens would study on Earth, while human students would learn on various Confederation planets. Our differences are our greatest strength, Song concluded. By learning from each other, we build a stronger future for all species. As applause filled the room, Han noticed a group of young aliens nearby. They wore Earth-style clothing and spoke with subtle human mannerisms. This human style had become increasingly popular among Confederation youth, much to their parents' dismay. After the reception, Han walked through the embassy gardens with Song. Your proposal will pass, she told him confidently. Song nodded. Times have changed. 20 years ago, most species feared humans. Now they want to be more like us. Not entirely, Han laughed. They admire certain qualities without wanting our full package. Nobody wants our bone density in low-gravity environments. They paused at a viewpoint overlooking the capital city. Light sparkled below as vehicles moved through designated flight paths. The city had grown to accommodate human residents, buildings with Earth-standard gravity, restaurants serving human cuisine, entertainment venues playing human music and art. Next week I'm visiting the new colony on Proxima B, Song said. It's the first joint settlement. Humans working with Centaurians and Vega. The environment is challenging, but together they're making it work. Han smiled. That's what we do best, adapt and help others adapt. As they continued walking, they passed a training facility where young aliens were practicing human martial arts under the guidance of a human instructor. The students moved with determination, pushing their bodies in ways their ancestors never would have considered. We were once feared for our physical capabilities, Han observed. Now we're teaching others to find their own strength. That's our greatest contribution, Song agreed. Not just surviving, but showing others they're stronger than they realize. As night fell over the Confederation capital, the two humans looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships explored the galaxy alongside their alien allies. Human scientists worked with alien researchers to solve problems neither could address alone. Human artists collaborated with alien creators to produce entirely new forms of expression. The Space Orcs had found their place in the galaxy, not by conquering, but by connecting, by turning what once made them feared into what now made them valued. Admiral Tay stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, his face illuminated by the eerie glow of the viewscreen. Before him swirled a cosmic anomaly, unlike anything encountered in the galaxy's recorded history, a massive, churning vortex of dark energy that had already consumed 3 star systems. Status report, Tay demanded, his voice steady despite the situation. The entity continues to expand, reported Science Officer Yu. It's consuming matter at an accelerating rate. The Antares system will be gone within days. The emergency had unfolded with frightening speed. 3 months ago, astronomers detected strange energy readings from the galactic core. Within weeks, an ancient dormant species had awakened, a collective intelligence that existed as pure energy, feeding on stars and planets to fuel its expansion. The Confederation Council had fallen into panic. Many species advocated for mass evacuation to another galaxy, believing resistance was futile. Only humanity had proposed direct confrontation. The Confederation fleet is holding position at the designated coordinates, Communications Officer, Lee announced. All 27 species are represented, but humans command the front line. Tay nodded, unsurprised. In the 50 years since first contact, humans had earned their place in the galaxy. Their physical resilience and psychological adaptability, once viewed with suspicion, had become the Confederation's greatest asset in times of crisis. Open a channel to all ships, Tay ordered. Lee's fingers danced across the console. Channel. Open, Admiral. Tay took a deep breath. This is Admiral Tay of the UES Defiance. Today we face an enemy that threatens not just one world or system, but all life in our galaxy. The ancient entity before us believes us weak and divided. It expects us to flee or surrender. He paused, letting his words reach every ship in the massive fleet. Instead, we stand together. Each species brings unique strengths to this fight. Together, we are stronger than any force in the universe. The plan was daring, perhaps reckless by conventional standards. Human ships would penetrate the outer layer of the entity, creating a pathway for specialized vessels, carrying a modified version of the quantum resonator, technology that could disrupt the entity's energy pattern. The mission required navigating through radiation levels and gravitational distortions that would quickly kill most species. All ships assume formation, Tay commanded. Launch sequence begins in 3 minutes. As the countdown proceeded, Tay gazed at the faces of his mixed crew. Humans made up the majority, but several alien species served in specialized roles. Fleet Commander Elan, a seraphim whose people once feared humans as violent primitives, now stood proudly at Tay's side. "Your people truly are remarkable," Elan said quietly. "No other species would have conceived this plan, let alone volunteered to lead it." "We evolved facing adversity," Tay replied. "On Earth, survival often meant confronting dangers rather than fleeing them." The ship's engines rumbled to life as the fleet moved forward. The human vessels took point position, forming a spearhead, aimed at the heart of the swirling darkness. "Entering the outer boundary in 30 seconds, Navigation Officer Song announced. "Prepare for extreme conditions." The moment they crossed into the entity's domain, alarms blared throughout the ship. Temperature indicators spiked as radiation levels soared beyond safe parameters. The hull groaned under stress that exceeded design specifications. "Hull integrity at 70% and dropping," reported engineering. "We can maintain these conditions for 17 minutes maximum." "That's all we need," Tay responded confidently. The ship pushed deeper, clearing a path for the specialized vessels behind them. Several systems failed in rapid succession. Emergency. Lighting bathed the bridge in red as crew members fought to maintain control. "Admiral, the quantum resonator ships are in position," Lee called out over the noise of straining machinery. "They're ready to deploy." Tay gave the command, and throughout the fleet, the resonators activated simultaneously. The effect was immediate. The swirling vortex shuddered as if in pain. Its perfect pattern disrupted. The entity's cohesion began to fail. "It's working," Yu exclaimed. "The entity's energy signature is destabilizing." But success came at a cost. The Defiance's systems were failing catastrophically. Hull temperature had reached critical levels and life support was faltering. "All ships retreat to safe distance," Tay ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. "Our work here is done." The fleet pulled back as the entity's form collapsed in upon itself, the destructive vortex imploding into a harmless cloud of dispersing energy. The threat that had seemed unstoppable just hours before had been neutralized. 1 month later, Admiral Tay stood before the assembled delegates of the Confederation Council. The chamber was packed with representatives from every member world. Despite medical treatment, Tay still showed signs of radiation exposure, a reminder of how close the mission had come to failure. "The Council formally recognizes humanity's decisive role in saving our galaxy," announced the High Chancellor. "From this day forward, Earth and its colonies will be designated as the official guardians of the Confederation." Tay accepted the honor with a simple bow. As he looked out at the assembled delegates, he noticed young aliens from across the galaxy watching with admiration. Many had already applied to train at human military and exploration academies, hoping to learn the resilience that had saved their worlds. After the ceremony, Tay spoke with a group of cadets, a mix of human and alien youths training together. "How you called us Space Orcs when we first met," Tay reminded an elderly Arcturian diplomat who had been present at first contact 50 years earlier, the Arcturian's skin flushed with embarrassment. "A regrettable misunderstanding based on fear." "Perhaps not," Tay replied thoughtfully. "The term once meant something fierce and primitive. Now it symbolizes strength and determination in the face of impossible odds." The young cadets listened intently, human and alien alike. "Remember," Tay told them, "true strength isn't about dominating others. It's about finding the courage to face challenges that seem overwhelming and helping others find that same courage within themselves. As Tay gazed out at the stars visible through the council chamber's dome, he reflected on humanity's journey, from feared newcomers to respected allies to essential guardians. The Space Orcs had found their true purpose. In Santin